In the heart of feudal Japan, during an era of endless conflict and warring states, a legend was forged. Not in the grand halls of a castle, but in the heart of a young boy who would grow up to become the most famous samurai in history. This is the story of Miyamoto Musashi, the undefeated swordsman. Born around 1584, Musashi entered a world defined by the sword. While other children played games, he was already on the path of the warrior, dedicating every waking moment to mastering the blade. He wasn't just learning to fight, he was learning to survive, to conquer. His ambition was singular and absolute, to become the greatest swordsman under the heavens. And this journey began earlier than anyone could have imagined. At the tender age of 13, Musashi faced his first duel. His opponent was a seasoned samurai, Arima Kihei, a master of the Shinto Ryu school. To everyone's shock, the young Musashi, armed with a wooden staff, not only held his own but emerged victorious. He threw his opponent to the ground and defeated him. This first taste of victory was a powerful omen, setting the stage for a life of unparalleled combat prowess. This wasn't just a lucky win, it was the first step on a path that would see him face over 60 opponents in life-or-death duels without ever tasting defeat. What made Musashi so invincible? It was his revolutionary approach to combat. While the samurai tradition revered the single long sword, the katana, Musashi broke the mold. He developed a style that was uniquely his own, wielding two swords simultaneously, the long katana and the shorter wakizashi. He called this style Niten Ichiryu, which translates to two heavens as one. This two-sword technique gave him an incredible advantage, allowing him to attack and defend at the same time, overwhelming his opponents with a relentless and unpredictable flurry of strikes. He believed that a true warrior should use every tool at their disposal, and for him, two swords were better than one. But Musashi's genius wasn't just in his technique, it was in his mind. He was a master of psychological warfare. He understood that a duel is won not just with steel, but with strategy and nerve. He would often manipulate the circumstances of his duels to gain a mental edge. One of his favorite tactics was to arrive late. Imagine standing there, waiting for your opponent, your anxiety building with every passing minute. By the time Musashi finally appeared, calm and composed, his enemy was often already flustered, angry, and off balance. He turned punctuality into a weapon. He also used the environment to his advantage. He would choose duel locations that played to his strengths. Whether it was a narrow bridge where his opponent couldn't maneuver, a sandy beach where the sun would be in his enemy's eyes, or a dense forest that offered cover and surprise. For Musashi, the battle began long before the first sword was drawn. It began with understanding the terrain, the timing, and most importantly, the psychology of his adversary. Of all his 60 duels, one stands out as the pinnacle of his legend, his battle against Sasaki Kojiro. Kojiro was a legend in his own right, a master swordsman famous for his swallow cut, a strike so fast it was said to be able to cut a swallow out of the air. He wielded an exceptionally long sword, a nodachi, and was considered by many to be Musashi's equal, if not his superior. The duel was set to take place on the remote Ganryu Island. On the day of the duel, Musashi employed his classic psychological tactic. He was hours late. Kojiro and the officials waited, their patience wearing thin, their frustration mounting. When Musashi's boat was finally spotted, Kojiro's anger was palpable. But the surprise didn't end there. As Musashi disembarked, he wasn't carrying his famous twin swords. Instead, he held a single, long wooden sword, a bokken, which he had apparently carved from a spare oar during the boat ride over. Kojiro, insulted and enraged by Musashi's apparent disrespect, drew his magnificent long sword and threw his scabbard into the sea, a gesture that meant he was ready to fight to the death. Musashi simply smiled and said, "If you have no more use for your scabbard, you are already dead." The duel was short and brutal. Kojiro lunged with his famous swallow cut, but Musashi, with his perfect timing and understanding of his opponent's mind, dodged the attack and brought his heavy wooden oar down on Kojiro's head. With a single, decisive strike, the legendary Sasaki Kojiro was defeated. Musashi had proven once again that the weapon itself is less important than the mind of the warrior who wields it. But as Musashi grew older, the fire for constant battle began to wane. He had proven his point. He was the best. He realized that the way of the warrior was not just about winning duels, it was about mastering oneself. He began a new chapter in his life, transitioning from an undefeated fighter to a wandering ronin, a philosopher, and an artist. He traded the battlefield for the quiet contemplation of nature and the pursuit of inner peace. In this later phase of his life, Musashi's creativity blossomed. He became a renowned ink wash painter, and his works are still celebrated for their simple, powerful, and Zen-like quality. He painted birds, dragons, and landscapes with the same focus and precision he once used to wield his swords. He also practiced calligraphy and wrote poetry, exploring the depths of his spirit and his understanding of the world. He believed that the principles of swordsmanship could be applied to any art form, and indeed to life itself. The same principles of balance, timing, rhythm, and focus were essential whether you were painting a bird or facing an enemy. It was during this period of reflection, near the very end of his life, that Musashi decided to pass down his knowledge. He retreated to a cave known as the Reigando, or Spirit Rock Cave, to meditate and write. There, he penned his masterpiece, Go Rin no Sho, or the Book of Five Rings. This book is not just a manual on sword fighting, it is a profound treatise on strategy, philosophy, and the mindset required for victory in any endeavor. The book is divided into 5 scrolls, or rings, named after the elements earth, water, fire, wind, and void. The earth scroll lays the groundwork, discussing the overall principles of his strategy. The water scroll details his specific techniques, emphasizing flexibility and adaptability, like water that takes the shape of its container. The fire scroll deals with the heat of battle, discussing timing, momentum, and how to overwhelm an opponent. The wind scroll analyzes the strategies of other martial arts schools, teaching the importance of knowing your competition. Finally, the void scroll delves into the philosophical heart of his teachings, a state of mind that is clear, calm, and free from confusion, where one can perceive the truth of a situation intuitively. Musashi taught that victory is not about brute strength. It's about perception, discipline, and understanding the rhythm of a situation. It's about staying calm in the midst of chaos, maintaining unwavering focus, and moving with purpose and intention. These principles, he argued, were universal. They applied to a general leading an army, a craftsman building a house, and an individual navigating the challenges of daily life. Just before his death in 1645, Musashi wrote a final, more personal document, the Dokudo, or the Path of Aloneness. This text consists of 21 rules for self-discipline, a guide to living a simple, honest, and honorable life. Rules like, accept everything, just the way it is. Do not seek pleasure for its own sake, and be detached from desire your whole life long. Reveal the mind of a man who had transcended the desire for fame and fortune and found true strength in self-mastery. Miyamoto Musashi died peacefully in the Reigando cave, reportedly in a seated, meditative posture, holding his sword in one hand. He left behind no great wealth or land, but a legacy that is immeasurable. He was more than just an undefeated samurai. He was a master strategist, a profound philosopher, and a gifted artist. Today, his teachings in the Book of Five Rings are studied not just by martial artists, but by business executives, military leaders, and anyone seeking to gain a competitive edge or achieve personal growth. Musashi's life shows us that true mastery comes from a perfect balance of body, mind, and spirit. His journey from a fierce young duelist to a wise old sage reminds us that the ultimate battle is not against an external foe, but within ourselves. He was a man who lived and died by his own code, a true embodiment of the warrior's path. Thank you for watching. If you found this story of the legendary swordsman inspiring, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tales of incredible figures from history. See you in the next one.